Hello. This is the Awful and Awesome Entertainment Wrap, episode 384. This is Rajyasree Sen.
This is Abhinandan Sekhri.
This is Manisha, Pande.
This is Jayashree, Arunachalam.
And we have 3 shows we will review for you today with 3 lovely ladies and one not so lovely man who has been accused of
Leda.
Being
One
patriarchal,
lovely
etc. So I shall demonstrate that how I can not be.
Don't be a victim. Who's calling?
Yeah.
Every day you come
Don't
back.
take There are so
Again.
many things you've been told in your life. Have you paid attention to all of them?
Of course I have.
Then you'd be a shattered human being, or you'd be a serial killer because you'd be so angry.
Dude,
So
just-
you don't have to
So
pay
on that
attention.
happy note,
Huh.
we have the White Lotus, the studio, L2 Empuraan, that we'll be reviewing. By we, I mean the ladies, because I have not watched any of these things. And Val Kilmer died, and we shall all tell you our favorite role of Val Kilmer's, who
Yes,
was a
I
truly
have
gifted
one.
actor. And we have 10 emails, Rajyasree Sen, with some recommendations which we should actually watch. There are a lot of recommendations.
Let's not promise things that we will not do. So, should we start with one of your announcements? That might be nice also.
So we can start with the new project, which is the impunity of India's police. We have crossed the 50% mark, the halfway mark. Thank you so much, those of you who contributed. Here is a QR code. Please contribute to this fund. We will have at least 5 journalists between News Minute and News Laundry, and at least 5 producers who will cover at least 5 states, although I do believe we'll get more than that. The research and pre-production has already started. It's a very important story to cover, and it is very unlikely journalism that is funded by government ads, which is state government ads or central government ads, would do an investigation of this sort, because it takes time, it's high risk, and if your money is coming from those who you're supposed to investigate, it's unlikely to do a good job, which is why our journalism is funded by you, the people. So do contribute. This is the QR code. The link is also in the show notes. Thank you. Now, ladies, what do you want to start with?
White Lotus, I guess, because all of us have seen it.
Other
I'm
than
so sad. But okay.
Jayashree has not seen the final episode.
Is that a
And now
good
she
thing or
There'll
bad?
be
need-
spoilers.
yeah, she won't
Yeah,
need
and
to watch
I've
it.
faithfully avoided spoilers for the last 2 days. And now it all comes
But
to an
with
end.
the internet, it's become so difficult to avoid spoilers because it's all over the place on your Twitter, on Instagram. Everyone's posting.
But people didn't say who died.
People
on
said who
social media.
died.
People said,
Like they posted
yeah.
pictures
Lots
of
of
people
posts.
who have died. So I don't know one person who died. I don't know the others.
But if you plan to come on Awful and Awesome with Rajyasree and assume you wouldn't get a spoiler, then I don't know which world
I
you're
don't know.
in.
God knows. But who do you think has died?
You can take a guess.
Take a guess. Who's the one whose picture you saw? It might be incorrect.
Rick.
Rick is who?
Walter
Rick
Goggins.
is-
Walton. Oh, what a body.
Walter
he has.
Goggins.
Yes, you're right. He's dead.
Okay, he's dead.
I was saying he was my favorite character of White Lotus. That's
Sorry,
why.
spoiler alert after the spoiler's
No.
been given.
No. So just so
This
that
show is only
everyone-
for the faithfuls.
This is only
Everyone
for
else, we
people.
don't care about you.
Anyone who watches White Lotus and has not watched the season finale, I'm just being clear, Jayashree, season finale on the day that the season finale was shown has set them up for
That's
failure
true,
and
that's
disappointment because everybody else watched it. It had 30% more viewing than the last season's
It's
finale.
your fault.
Yeah, it's
Not-
your fault.
No, everything's
It's
your
never
fault.
my fault.
Okay.
Abhinandan will tell you that I have
Yes.
a problem about it never being my fault, but usually it isn't. But in this case, a White Lotus season 3 has just finished. It was set in Thailand. It was, to me, one of the biggest things is that it's a coup by Four Seasons, because when Four Seasons signed the contract with White Lotus, the first season, it was during the pandemic. They did not see the script or anything. At that point, all hotels were closed. So Four Seasons was like, you want to take a hotel in, which was the first one, was in?
Hawaii.
In Hawaii, in Maui. For 3 months, we are very happy if you take it. And then they realize that the show is about rich people who are sleeping with each other, killing each other, like horrible. And one person will definitely die. But Four Seasons got such a spike in the amount of people who started booking. More people than usual started booking. They gave them the second season where more people died, and season 3 where the most people have died. No?
Yeah, the most people.
Okay, tell me how many people have died.
3.
That's the 3. Okay, see, my other favorite character is Chelsea.
Dead.
Chelsea is not
The
there.
girlfriend.
Is her name Chelsea?
Chelsea's the girlfriend, right?
No.
The British girlfriend, yeah.
So what do you think of this show? Let's go one by one
Yeah.
so that we can actually get some reviews out of this show. So who wants to start? Manisha, you want to start?
Yeah, I think so. The premise for those of you who don't watch White Lotus is, like she said, there's a resort, which is the setting, and every season starts with a dead body. So the first episode is a dead body, and then the season is you go back, and the last episode is the day of the death. So you're figuring who could have died. However, I think this was one of the lamest White Lotus seasons because along with, it's not a whodunit. It's not supposed to be like that. It's more a commentary on the rich, commentary on woke culture, commentary on sexual behavior, sexual mores. There's always this one person per season. I think second season didn't have that, but actually even the second season had that. There's always this one figure who's debauched, but who's kind of rehabilitating. So it could be an alcohol addiction, sex addiction, whatever. So there's always this commentary on excess versus, trying to control your urges. And it has a lot of that. This season, I think they focus too much on the aspect of the death. So it moves very slowly. There's literally nothing happening through the season. There's one Wall Street guy who's like every Wall Street guy, there's an FBI inquiry going on. He may lose everything. He may go to jail. He hasn't told his family. So there's a lot of tension around.
And he's consuming cocaine. Is he?
No.
It's probably
He's
his
having
wife.
no. He's having lorazepam.
He's having
It
his
was his
wife's
wife's lorazepam, not even
But
his
the
own.
plot is basically he wants to shoot himself and he wants to shoot his family because he feels that none of them can live without the riches.
And you know that Duke University got really upset,
Yeah.
right? Because one entire plot is that he's from Duke. His son also went to Duke. And while he's contemplating suicide, he's wearing a Duke t-shirt. So Duke University put out a statement. I think they spoke to Bloomberg saying that, we're pretty
Dear
upset
God.
about it.
And he decides
That.
to not kill. Now I'm giving you spoilers, but he decides
That's okay.
to not kill one son who says, so he goes around asking that, can you live without the money? And everyone's like, no, I don't think I have it in me. The one son who says, I think I can live without money, he decides not to kill him. So a lot of the show is, but I think the focus with the writing of this show, what has happened, they focused too much on the death aspect, who those dead bodies belong to that you see in the first episode, rather than focusing on the social commentary, the rich versus poor. There's always this plot also of a really bratty kind of a person who's come to stay, who wants the room in a certain way or who's throwing a tantrum, versus the staff, which is of a certain social class, versus the owners who are of a certain social class. So the first season was brilliant because it had a lot of layered commentary on society. This one, I think, just became very flat. There was this, but two exceptional scenes, I think, of writing. Two monologues, which actually have saved the entire season. One is the monologue on the Asian girls.
Which is Sam Rockwell's.
Sam Rockwell's
too good.
brilliantly delivered monologue. And the second one is
Carrie
on
Coons.
friendship. So there's also a plot of three friends who've come together. And like every gang of three girlfriends, they bitch about each other when one of them is away. So there's a lot of tension between, who's a closer friend to who, and a lot of commentary that
who likes whom.
Who likes whom. So that resolves very beautifully. But overall, I think the worst written.
Underwhelming.
White
What do you
Lotus.
think, Jayashree? Rajyasree? There's so many Shrees.
Oh, lucky.
So I think people had too many expectations also. So I love the Ratcliffe family. I think they are the
rich
they
Wall
are
Street guy.
just so weird and obnoxious in a way. They are so rich in a way. So and they are hardworking. The father's very
So Wall
hardworking.
Street means that they're not like what they call old money, which is a strange.
No. But they are
No, but
educated.
his dad was some kind of
Yeah.
politician. So there is some kind of...
Yeah, there is. They are not like new. They are on the nouveau-ish. And the father went to Duke. The son has gone to Duke. The son is Patrick Schwarzenegger. And
Oh, okay.
and he is so good.
Very
Oh,
good.
so you've reviewed this before when you were talking about the front side or the back side.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the
Exactly.
first episode.
Same
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, same show.
Oh, he's alive still. Okay.
He's alive.
He survives.
So
He
hang on.
survives.
So it's the same lot of people who are taking holidays live together.
No.
every year.
One season only. We are
This is
still
it.
discussing that season only, and this season is
This
the
is
same
season 3. We were discussing episode 1. Now
No,
it's
I
over.
understand. So it's the same people.
No.
No, it's a different
Different.
cast of characters.
There are two
Every
It's the
season is
same-
different.
It's the same hotel franchise, but in different locations. So season 1 was the White Lotus in Hawaii, a bunch of rich people staying there.
Okay,
then in Italy
Sicily.
was season 2,
Yeah.
again a
So it's
random
different
bunch of
people,
rich
right?
people
Different people,
fine.
and there are
Different
2,
people.
3 characters who are like
traveling with them.
traveling
Right.
who carry on being there. So
I see.
there's one running
Thread.
which is there, which is a side thread. That's not the main thread. But so I thought the Ratcliffe family is, even when she says that the wife says, who's this very well-known actress, Parker Posey, she says, we might be rich, but we aren't tax evaders. We aren't those kind of people. And her husband's looking at her because there's an FBI investigation going on over.
He's
She's like,
bust.
"We
He's
aren't-
gone. Like he's gonna
she
go to
said, we
jail.
aren't crooked con men. We've worked hard. Your father's worked hard. And it is our duty. I love that line. She says, it is our duty to spend this money and live properly because we've got
Otherwise,
this
it's an
money.
insult to the other poor people.
To the other
So this is
purposes.
like that during 2008 crisis that Goldman Sachs CEO said, that we are doing the God's work.
Yeah, it's exactly.
So,
but see,
yeah.
I agree with Rajyasree. I feel like expectations are too high. Like for me,
Yeah.
it worked.
Because
And the
season
family,
one
they are
was so good. Like season
no,
one
it's like
writing
these are
was
caricatures.
brilliant.
Like the family itself is like a caricature, but it's done very well. And also,
Yeah.
like my guilty pleasure is reading books and watching movies and shows about very, very rich people, like obnoxiously rich people behaving badly. That is it. Like that is the perfect.
So then
recipe
did you
for me.
watch that Housewives of Bollywood?
They are.
Real House? Yeah.
Yeah.
You did
Because
watch it.
again, it's a peek into the life of the rich and famous. See, and I like a show where you don't need to sympathize with someone. You don't need to root for any of them because they're all unpleasant and they're all very rich and some are less bad than others, but overall they're all just quite bad. Like you don't really care for them. And since you're not invested in it and since no one really has a moral compass, it just makes it really entertaining, like shenanigans. It's great
Yeah.
to watch it. And I don't expect, great plotting or whatever. I just want to be entertained. And for me, this season,
But you
hit
are
it
still
out.
satisfied with season 3. No complaints.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched the finale.
Yeah.
So there is that.
I'll tell
But-
you, the deaths are, I did feel more
Forced.
interesting people could have been killed off. They chose like very low hanging fruit. And you don't care whether these people have, other than Walton Goggins' character, I don't care about the other two who really popped it. Like they don't.
Yeah, they
I
don't really
feel
tell
one of
who
the
popped it. Who
Ratcliffes
popped
should.
it?
Okay, we'll tell you. One is his
Tell me.
girlfriend. He and the girlfriend die. And who was the third? Why am I saying so useless? I don't even remember
the
the third.
bodyguards, and then the youngest son gets poisoned, but he
What?
survives.
No, but there are 3 deaths. There were 3 proper
The two
deaths.
bodyguards, no.
They can't
And
be
while we
counted.
remember,
And the
Who's the
and the
While we
guy,
are-
the owner.
we are debating and trying
the
to figure
owner.
out who died, who didn't die.
The owner
no.
dies.
The owner
owner's-
dies. Srilata.
Who,
So
Shritala?
Shritala's
husband. So
So the Indian.
Oh, that I don't even care about. I mean,
yeah,
we barely even
so
know him.
this is
Thai,
the
Thai.
other thing that I like about White Lotus, that the person who plays Mook is Lisa, who is she's like the Beyonce of Thailand.
Yeah.
She's
What does
She's like a
that mean?
K-pop sensation.
I think she's a K-pop sensation, and she's
But
like,
why Beyonce of Thailand?
she's
Out of all the people.
because Beyonce is the queen of pop.
No, it would be the other lady, na, who's
Who?
seeing that football player, who's the
Taylor
biggest
Swift.
Taylor Swift. No.
No, but Beyonce
and-
trips off the tongue
Beyonce's
better.
Beyonce.
Sounds-
Beyonce's
I
bigger.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
because she doesn't have a surname, and to be truly famous, you have to
Beyonce
have one name.
knows she does have a surname.
No, but only like
Huh.
even Prince didn't.
No, Michael Jackson.
MG is an exception. He
MJ
makes
is
his
like
own
the
rules.
dude.
And the other that Sri Tala is part of, because she was also an actress. So she plays an actress who has been actress who is now, she owns this hotel. This thing. And she was this big sensation in Thailand. So he's got these very well-known people also. I thought the Ratcliffes were nice. I thought this blonde blob he calls this. So the 3 friends, when you see them, they all have blonde hair, but they look a little different. But they're like a blonde blob, they were called. And then
One's an actress, one's a lawyer, Democrat, the other one's a Trump supporter.
yeah.
So it's an interesting kind of
And
mix.
I also loved Sam Rockwell's.
Sam
this
Rockwell
thing.
was just that monologue will go down in TV history writing
Yeah.
forever.
Like another monologue
for one
on
of the best
friendship.
monologues.
But before we move on to some emails, so even I should contribute something to this show. One is that in case you want to have an Indian version of this, there is a hotel near Meerut when you drive from here to Dehradun. It's called All Seasons. So it's bigger than 4 seasons. You can have a low budget 4 seasons there. So all seasons has not paid us for this, but I'm just saying some
I
contribution.
like that you paused for laughter, but there was none.
There was none. And the
None.
second is the
It was
monologue on
bleak.
friendship that truly stands out for me
Amitabh
is
Bachchan.
Monish Behel in Maine Pyar Kiya, where he tells Bhagyashree and Salman Khan,
कोई
लड़का और
किसी लड़के का
लड़की
लड़की दोस्त नहीं हो सकता.
दोस्त नहीं हो सकते.
I used to think Monish Bell was quite cute looking, but poor thing, nothing happened to his
Rajyasree
career.
Sen, you think Saif Ali Khan is very sexy.
Saif
so
is very
आपके
hot.
taste का तो क्या कहना?
Saif is very hot.
Saif is a cutie pie.
I
I
don't
totally
think he's
agree.
hot, but I
Niku
think
has a slight
he
thing
is
about
he's
him.
charming.
He is
Right.
charming, and there's a lovely horse riding
Very
video
good.
of his, which I can now share as a link underneath, which we'll share. But
Right.
I did wait one thing only with White Lotus. I just feel that the only thing with one, it's a very long episode. It's also 1.5
1.5
hours.
hours.
The-
That's why I couldn't watch it. I didn't have time.
now
It was
you
just
don't
too
need to
long.
watch it. Now you
No,
know.
I don't need to.
Right? And but it just that Jennifer Coolidge's character, I did think he was going to bring back.
She was like, yeah, but she's dead.
I
How would they bring
do
her
feel
back?
like if they brought her back, and I'm glad they didn't, because I did think she'd
Would be
overstayed
an
her
overkill.
welcome.
Yeah, it'd be an overkill.
Yeah. First season was fine. Second was a bit much. I'm glad she
But
didn't
season
return
3,
for a
you'll
third.
see the last episode. The deaths are very random. All deaths in all seasons are random, but this one was too forced. You have to kill somebody off, so now let's just get them to kill each other.
But I did think the weakest storyline was the three friends. Like, I really liked how it was done, and that's also because it worked really well for me. But I did think there was more they could do with it, which they didn't.
But it ends off quite beautifully. It actually rounds off well. The friendship.
So is
track
it? It's over? The
kind
show's
of-
over?
Yeah.
Yeah, the show's over.
Yeah.
So there will be no season 4.
No,
There will.
There will.
You
So the
should
show's
watch
not
season
over?
1. The season's over. The show, I think they'll have another show. But
No, they are going to have. They've already said.
so it's a bit like Shark Tank effect in the US. White Lotus also has that impact on the place and the hotel. So Thailand is seeing like crazy amounts of bookings, and Phuket is all
That
booked
happened
out.
with Ladakh and that Amir Khan film,
Yeah.
3 Idiots.
And Lord of the Rings people started going to New Zealand,
New Zealand,
became
yes.
then when I did not understand at one point why every time I logged onto Facebook, the most absurd people were holidaying in Croatia.
Because
So
of
I
Game of
was
Thrones.
surprised that these people, who I don't think know where Croatia is, were in Croatia. I was like, what a strange holidays for. Then someone told me that's because Game of Thrones is shot in Croatia. Then I watched Game of Thrones and it was so beautiful.
Croatia is
That's why-
gorgeous. I've
Yeah.
been there.
Of course, I will not take names because individually I haven't verified this, but there was one very big Indian film that was made with the biggest stars and all that in a Asian country. And apparently they were, of course, given a huge discount because of this whole effect that if a big film is made in that area, the tourism comes in. But they still had to pay for the use of the police, helicopter and cop. And apparently the production wrapped everything up when that film became a super hit. And they didn't pay because when we had gone to shoot in Malaysia, it was organized. This is back in the during Highway on a Plate. We shot in Malaysia, Singapore, Mauritius, where we stayed the 4 seasons, by the way. And where else did we shoot? Malaysia, Sri Lanka. It was organized by the tourist department there. And the guy who was, one person from the government would accompany us to round up shoots. He said, such and such film with such and such star had shot here. And they have not cleared the bill for the police cars and the helicopters that were used.
Actually, Yash Chopra's
Who was
movies also did
surprised,
that for
though?
Switzerland. For a generation of people wanted to go to Switzerland after
But they
Yash
paid the
Chopra's.
bills.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
But
They
We are
would have
hoping.
paid the bills. I'm just going back to our previous conversation.
Right. So on that note, I'm guessing most of you, it has piqued your interest and you will definitely watch all 3 seasons of White Lotus.
Definitely watch season 1. I think you'll enjoy it.
Really? It
3
sounds
you
too
can
much.
avoid. 3 you can avoid. Season 1 is fun. There's a lot of nice writing.
But it sounds suspiciously like that Knives Out.
No.
There's no,
Not at
it's
all.
not a murder mystery.
Exactly. So it's not a whodunit or anything.
You don't even
No,
know
see, like
who's
Manisha
murdered.
saying that this season for her is a lot about the death. For me, the death was so peripheral and not at all important to the plot. Like there is a death that you know will happen, but the rest of it is just commentary on.
You also
There's
don't
no
know
mystery.
who's died. In the first episode, you know there's a dead body, but
That's
whose
it,
dead
yeah.
body is not told to you.
All right.
Or revealed to you, basically.
Okay, now for our couple of emails. Ankita writes, Ankita with the TH. So I'm guessing this Ankita is from the south Hey Abhinandan and Rajyasree, Awful and Awesome is my absolute fave and your banter is iconic. Abhinandan, you were straight up chef's kiss in Kintu Parantu with Shiba. That fit? 10 on 10, full stop. What does that mean? You got to bring that drip to Awful and Awesome too. My God, this lingo is...
Who did you speak to? Who is Shiba?
She has a show called Kintu Parantu. And honestly...
she's just saying you were really
She's
good in
saying
it.
you were really
drip.
good
What
in
is
that.
drip? What is that drip? If you
like
don't
that
watch...
vibe, I guess. Get
Huh?
You
that
gotta
vibe.
bring that vibe too.
Right.
Awful and Awesome.
Acha, clothes you're wearing is a drip. See, you guys are giving
She's saying you're really
tukkas.
fashionable.
There,
You're very
there. See,
stylish.
the true Gen Z has given us
Meaning
what that
with
means.
his cap, she's saying, with that little cap of yours.
That's
Rajyasree is
that's News Laundry
astonished.
merchandise.
Honestly,
who cares if you don't watch half the stuff? Your presence alone is a vibe.
Thank you, Ankita, with a TH. Rajyasree, your fake news and random facts are wild. I end up in the weirdest internal spirals trying to fact check.
Internet spirals.
Internet, sorry. To be
I hope
honest,
she's not going into internal spirals.
you're the,
After watching Rajyasree.
you're the main character of this show. Chaotic, iconic, and absolutely essential.
The main
Also-
character
Like Jennifer
energy.
Coolidge. I'm Jennifer Coolidge.
No.
Also, to everyone listening, subscribe. We might not be news junkies, but if we don't back the real ones now, we'll be drowning in fake news and propaganda later. Ankita is so smart and so accurate. Here is a QR code which will remain there till I also read the next email. So do subscribe, pay to keep news free, because that way you can not just serve journalism, you can also serve entertainment. Then Orisha Sen Gupta says, oh, we have a Bengali in the house. Loved your hilarious character assassination of Emergency. Now I have to watch it just to track your observations and laugh along. That said, I think your take on adolescence missed a few points. Manisha, you implied Jamie's behavior was shaped primarily by the internet, but his father's temper played a role too. Your thoughts, Manisha?
No, I don't think so, because a lot of people say that because the last episode you see the father acting out quite a bit. But there's a line where the mother says that this is not you. And I think there's a very interesting part which people are misreading. Do you want to get into it? It's slightly long, but basically the child, when he's talking to the psychologist, he talks about a football match that he's gone to where he's unable to play. Okay, he's unable to hit a goal or whatever. And he looks at his father and he can tell that the father is very embarrassed of him. And that kind of plays in the child's psyche that, because he really idolizes his father. So he kind of feels that, I didn't measure up to my father's expectations. But the father's track, when he gets to it in the third episode, last episode, he remembers that and he feels bad. But he's awkward. He's like, I didn't know where to look. And there were other parents laughing at him. So I just looked away. I should have maybe consoled him. I should have probably been okay with it. But I just looked away. So I think parents are also people doing things for the first time. So I think he acknowledges he makes mistakes, but I don't think it was toxic to the level of explaining a stabbing.
It wasn't
But
toxic at all.
They
in
do
fact.
quite prominently point at the father's temper in several ways. No, like they said that he brought down a shed. Once because he was really angry. So there are enough references that they want you to remember it.
Orisha, that is on the
Yeah,
interpretation,
maybe I should
just like
normalize
the
shed
end.
dropping.
Just like the end of Inception, which I watched again, by the way. I watched, before you pounce on me, Rajyasree, I didn't watch it this week. Over the last month or so, not the whole thing, but I've rewatched much of Inception and which is the other
Tenet.
one? Tenet. I realized I understood Inception completely. Every detail I understood. I'm not confused. Tenet, still didn't understand anything.
So Christopher Nolan just gave an interview last week where he was asked that, do you understand
Which one?
Inception and Tenet? So he says, you're not supposed to understand the whole thing. Even I don't understand it. And I was like, dude, of course, because I didn't understand what was happening at all. The director only didn't understand what was happening.
That is just...
He's like Salman Khan.
I know.
मैं क्या कहाँ आता हूँ कहाँ नहीं आता हूँ. What does Salman Khan's like? मैं मन में आता हूँ. Yeah? हाँ मैं दिल में आता हूँ मैं समझ नहीं आता हूँ.
Correct.
That is the
See,
Christopher Nolan movie.
So much of pop culture references. Then
But
Orisha
just one question from you guys felt like adolescence, the father was like majorly responsible for the kids. I didn't feel so.
I feel like the father, like you said, he's a person too. But I do think that he did have an anger issue and that they did very sort of prominently show it to us.
Right. Then
That shed thing wouldn't have been included otherwise because it was quite a huge dramatic thing.
Then throughout the series, his father's violent expression of anger was evident, subtler than his own father's probably, but still absorbed by his son. In episode 4, the parents even discussed this. He pushed Jamie into football and boxing to toughen him up, quote unquote, dismissing his love for painting, showing how toxic masculinity is subconsciously passed down. Also, Abhinandan, I don't think the one-shot take was just for show. Interviews and Tudum analysis, what is Tudum?
It's a website.
Suggest it was meant to build tension organically, especially in episode 3, and any actor will tell you a one-shot take is a rare gift. I don't know.
It's like a play actually, no? It's almost like, for actors it must be great actually, because you're in it and you can't get out of that character, so it could be.
Abhinandan's a theatre actor.
But again, I don't think...
he gives one-take shots because...
Should we play a clip from when I'm looking intense from my play back in 2004?
You don't know what emotion it
here's
is.
A clip from my 2004 play that was performed at the British Council Library. The one and only play I ever did.
After that, they shut the British Council Library. They said it's better, don't read. Delhi people don't read. It's okay.
Treasury retired. I spent all morning writing. His obituary. There's no space. It's not enough. Any criticisms?
So,
also, Tudum, by the way, Abhinandan, Tudum is the noise that comes when you start up
Netflix.
That
Tudum.
That's called Tudum.
That's why it's
I
called
see.
Tudum.
Okay. All right. So now let's move on to, let's go down south. L2 Empuraan. First of all, why is it called L2? Is it the second lumber?
Yeah, so the first one was Lucifer. This is L2 Empuraan.
Like my
L
dog.
is like a thing, okay? Like something will be happening casually in the movie and then suddenly like a rock will fall in the shape of an L. Or like Mohanlal will be walking past a tree and then the tree will catch fire in the shape of an L.
but why?
So it's like...
Why?
What?
Because he is L for Lucifer, guys. The fact that you have to ask me reflects really
100%.
poorly on you.
I am
So-
not going to watch this.
No, see,
Have to
but that
watch
is the
it.
thing. Like okay, I'll explain. My expectations from this movie were low. I watched Lucifer. It was fine. I have no great love for Mohanlal as an actor because I never grew up watching him in the 80s and all when he was really peak. I came to him much later and I found him like a buffoon. Like, I shouldn't say this because people will kill me, but I
You'll
just
get
did not
hate.
care for Mohanlal. So I don't carry that sort of, faithful love for him or anything. But so this movie also, my expectations were, well, it'll be entertaining enough. And it was a very much a mainstream blockbuster. Mohanlal does not exist on screen. Every time he walks, it is an entry. Every time he walks, like he walk into a chair, they'll do it in slow motion with the music.
That's like
It's that
Salman
sort of
Khan.
movie. Yeah, basically. But they have also shown an aspect of like Indian history, very sort of recent Indian history in a way that I absolutely did not expect. So that is what really blew me away.
Which is the 2002 riots.
Riots, which is
So,
why.
so the plot is around the
Basically-
2002 riots. Is that?
Not at all. So the plot is about politics in Kerala. So there is a party that is very similar to the Congress. It's called the Indian United Front or something. There's a leader who is very similar to Rahul Gandhi. He's just returned from America. He has an accent. He has a white girlfriend. He's a bit of a
Fool.
Poor Rahul,
bit
he
of a
doesn't have
fool,
any of
but
these.
nice
bumbling.
looking. Is he
But
nice looking?
he's the scion of this government. And then there's also the fractured politics that are angry at the leader. So this is the core. This is what the movie is about. Mohanlal was once part of the Congress, but under one great old leader who has now passed. This is Rahul Gandhi's father in the film. So now instead he is doing some sort of drug wars. He's flying across the world. He's, orchestrating a series of killings, necessary killings, like killing. So he is on this trip and he's aided and abetted by Prithviraj, who is also the director of the film and is a very, very big actor in Kerala in his own respect. Now, Prithviraj, he runs this sort of elite mercenary group that can kill anyone. There, no one messes with him. And he's sort of like Mohanlal's security, so to say. Prithviraj's backstory in the movie is that his name is Zayed. as a child, he was in Gujarat during the riots, and it is shown in shocking detail about groups of Muslims who go and seek refuge in a Hindu person's house. The Hindu person betrays them and calls the goons who come. The goon's name is Baba Bajrangi. He comes driving past a temple with similar other goons. They very, very violently show a pregnant woman being raped. They show people being skewered, being shot, being like smashed, their brains come out. Like, it is shockingly graphic. It does not have to be this graphic, may I please say. And then this boy, Zayed, manages to escape. His younger brother dies. And it happens, like, it's a 10-minute sequence in the beginning, and it comes back towards the end because he wants to eke revenge on this man who killed his family.
Baba
And the man who
Bajrangi.
killed his family is now the head of what is the BJP in this world of Empuraan. And this BJP is now partnering with the Rahul Gandhi light character. Rahul Gandhi has sold out himself to partner with the BJP, therefore
Oh
allowing
my
the BJP to enter on the
God.
cabinet.
This might happen.
And so this all comes around full circle, and they're like, yes.
So this bit
we
was
are
cut
going
out
to.
of the film, is that right?
No, it was not cut. You can't cut it. So now the cuts are.
So what did he apologize for?
He apologized. See, I don't understand why you would make this movie and then apologize. Maybe this was the plan the entire time. But according to what insiders are saying, is that he was spooked. He got worried. It wasn't that the BJP was like flaming at him or anything. He just organically got very frightened about it and decided to apologize. But what they have cut is, in the opening card, it said, I think it said Gujarat 2002. Now it just says a few years ago. Baba Bajrangi's name has been changed to Baldev or something. But I mean, and yeah, they've cut out the rape. The rape is gone. But overall, the cuts are like 2.5 minutes, and the rest of the movie is still there. The context is very much there because they're also showing the burning of a train.
Right.
There are 24 cuts. They've agreed.
So that's
They've
2.5
had 24
minutes.
cuts.
Okay.
2.5 minutes. So there's one scene where they keep driving in front of a temple. Like, all the goons are constantly driving in front of a temple with a trishul in front of it. I think that temple and the trishul have been removed. But you still can't take away from the fact that it is showing this child of Godhra very explicitly who has grown up to take revenge. And I don't remember when I have seen that in a mainstream movie. I was discussing this with a colleague, and he was talking about a lot of films that, like Firak by Nandita Das. But those were movies.
Kai Poche also dealt with the
Very
Gujarat.
well.
Those were
made.
movies that were very explicitly setting out to be about the riots. This
Right.
movie was not. This movie is an entertainment thriller where they're randomly shooting in Yemen and the UK and they're flitting across the world. And yet they chose to do this, which I
So
just
did
found...
this film do well? Was it a hit?
Yeah, it's
It
done
is
very well.
the highest grossing
Yeah.
Malayalam movie of all time. It has overtaken Manjumal Boys, which was doing really well. But now it's...
It's doing it's doing
It
very
is doing
well.
that well. And now, but also we have to remember what came next, right? Because then the ED issued
Raid.
summons to Gokulam Gopalan, who's a producer. They're saying he's done some FEMA violations.
Yeah.
The IT
raid.
issued a notice to Prithviraj. IT also issued a notice to Anthony Perambavur, who's also a producer. And he's Mohanlal's longtime right-hand man. He was Mohanlal's driver back in the day. And then now he's a producer, and he also produced this film.
And
so
in today's newspaper, it has been faithfully reported that this gentleman who was a producer was running a chit fund, and he had NRI's contributions worth, I think he had made payments worth 6 crore or 16 crore. I don't remember the exact detail. But yeah, it was on the front page of today's paper.
Yeah, so I think they said that these are cases that came up in 2000, a couple of years ago. But I mean, the timing is a bit sus, right?
No, even if you
why
say
do
that
it now?
the chit fund is fine, but the other, IT notices are not a coincidence at all.
Yeah.
And in my view, the crisis of Bollywood, I don't know if that's true for other language film industries, there are all sorts of theories. Why is, every film flopping? Is Bollywood dead? Is Salman Khan over? Etc., etc. And I think I can quite confidently, convincingly argue this point. The moment, and this is true for any business, the moment the government starts deciding what should be produced and what doesn't, whether it is bread, whether it is cars, whether it is films, you will never have a good product. And the reason that Bollywood has started failing is because now, like Jerry Shin's stories reported, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Netflix, whether it is big Bollywood producers, they're only making what the dispensation wants them to make. You're never going to get a good film out of that.
I should say the stage is now set for Empuraan 3 because the movie ends on a note where... So they're basically going to tell us Mohanlal's past. Like, what was he up to in the 80s that he's suddenly this big head of this empire and he's, avenging justice and doing all sorts of things. So it takes you back to a flashback in 80s Bombay where, again, makes a hero entry, except that it isn't Mohanlal. It is his son, Pranav Mohanlal, who is going to be playing his father's flashback role. So
I was going to ask, is Mohanlal playing
I think the
himself?
L thing
thank
is-
God he is not trying to pass
because that
himself
would
off
be
as
a
a
bit
20-year-old.
much.
But in
So-
all of this, the L thing is just so bizarre. Randomly.
Also,
There's an L that you
they
can see.
would have been given a CBFC certificate when it was released. My whole point is that.
believe they did not
Yeah.
make these cuts.
No, but
then.
just so you know
They don't
how
watch.
it works is that the amount of films that have to be viewed, not every member of CBFC watches every film. So there's a lot of subjectivity who has watched it when, how. Not all the members will be Prasoon Joshi. So there could be, but I mean maybe this has to do with works on another layer like L1, L2 is like the lumbar 1, lumbar 2 vertebra. There's L1, L2,
Yes,
L3.
yes,
So maybe this got to do with showing spine, and in the end you'll see all the L's. It'll just show one spine.
It's
will come
like
up.
Lake Forest Wines in Gurgaon, which is L1, L2, L3, L4. They have a monopoly. You have to say, where will you get the black label? L3 has it. So then you go to L3 Lake Forest Wines, the third outlet.
Now, before
I'm
we
just saying.
go to the studio, we'll read another couple of mails and then come back to the favorite Val Kilmer role. The panelists may please note. Stay ready with that. We have 2 or 3 very nice, short, double-digit worded mails. Vemba says, hello AR, big fan of the podcast. I have one request to Abhinandan. He mentioned a few times, which I agree to an extent, that pop culture products made under heavy right-wing influence in India are not really engaging at an artistic level. For example, movies like The Kerala Story. But now that Chhava is a big success with capable technicians, artists involved, I would like to know ANA team's opinion on its craft, storytelling and societal implications. Thank you, NL. So remember, I haven't watched Chhava, so if anyone else has, they can tell you.
I have not watched it.
Have you watched it? No. Have you watched it?
Not at such a loose end yet. So no, I haven't watched
So,
it.
Vemba, in all honesty, we cannot comment on Chhava. Maybe it's technically amazing. And
We'll watch it when it's on OTT.
It's on OTT.
Oh, it's already
But
on
I still can't bring myself to watch
But
it.
in general, what I said was in general, I think that's true, but that may not be true of every film that is made under right-wing influence. For example, The Birth of a Nation, which is not just right-wing, it was bigoted, racist. It is one of the most vile films made, yet it is taught in film school in the US.
And in India, we
And-
also studied
Oh,
it
is
in
it?
film
It's taught
school.
here also?
Yes.
Because of its technical brilliance. And it did really well. Of course, it got a big fillip because it was screened at the White House. The Supreme Court Chief Justice of the US at the time attended it. And it really shows that black men are rapists, killers, violent people.
It's horrible, the film.
But it did really well. So, but in general, whether it is, the entertainment zone usually is liberal bias, I think.
And Chhava is not right. It's a folklore that they have reinterpreted. So it's not like out of nowhere it's a right-wing conspiracy. It's not like Kashmir Files is what I'm saying. There's a folklore
Now
aspect.
the Delhi Files is out. What is that one?
There was a Bengal Files also. That was probably the Delhi riots.
Delhi
It
Files
came
will
and
go
went,
on
I think.
JNU, I guess.
But
Okay.
on Chhava, now because of Chhava, there's a lot of talk about Shivaji, and I guess because I watched a few reels on it, I get a lot of recommendations of some old film with Shivaji's mythology or history or whatever you want to call it, and these are clearly not movies made in the last 2-3 years. So movies have been made on this subject in the past. Because some of those films are really old. You can tell by the print, scratches that go up. And I was not aware of these films, but I guess they are coming up on Instagram and YouTube Reels because of Chhava's success. So this has done really well, but films have been made on the subject, several of them in the past. Vishal Shenoy says, hey guys, like everybody, totally love the banter and your views. I would like to recommend the series Survival of the Thickest. It's a lovely journey of a stylist making her way through the New York fashion scene, but doing for people often ignored by the industry. It's a beautiful and refreshing comedy sprinkled with romance and drama. Do see if it's worth your time. The second season just dropped. Has anyone watched it?
No,
No,
I don't
I
know
don't
it
want it.
Can
existed.
watch it.
Oh, you guys are aware of it?
I wasn't.
Okay. Right. And we'll just read this one last before we get to Val Kilmer. Tanya says, hi Abhinandan and Rajyasree, hope you both are doing well. Since both of you discussed the show that Kunal did, Here's a recommendation of stand-up. Let's Talk About It by Manjeet Sarkar. It's really sharp critique on caste, privilege and many other things. It would be a great help if the two of you can take it up on one of the episodes because it's not getting the attention it deserves. Also, I love the work News Laundry is doing. Your work makes me hopeful about voicing and practicing dissent in my own way. So thank you for that. Has anyone watched Manjeet Sarkar's stand-up show?
No, but we will.
But maybe I've seen a reel
Interesting.
and I don't know. I'll have to see what he looks like.
Right,
Because you see so many comics these days on Instagram and you don't kind of...
we have 4 more mails. We'll come to those later. But let's start off with Val Kilmer, who died at a young age of 65. He was one of my favorite actors. I have always loved him. In fact, my all-time favorite top 5 films became such a great film because of him. But Jayashree, your favorite film of Val Kilmer, and did you really like him?
Very easy answer because it's Batman Forever. I was 8 years old when I watched it. I loved it. I bought the tape, so and it had one of the best soundtracks that I've ever heard. Also, I mean, I know it was before superhero movies became this sort of ghastly, weighed down, bloated franchise. So it was just, and Batman Forever for its time was supposed to be a slightly darker film than the previous ones. It was, in retrospect, probably very, very boring and not great. But it was just everything that was great about the 90s was in Batman Forever. It had Val Kilmer, it had Jim Carrey, it had Tom Lee Jones, it had, was it Nicole Kidman? I think it had Nicole Kidman. It was a delight. And 8-year-old Jayashree thought that was the peak of filmmaking. I mean, she did not know much at the time. Maybe doesn't know very much now either. But like, I loved it. So,
Jayashree, I only know 2 people who refer to themselves in the third person. One is Anu Malik, the other is Narendra Modi. You're the third.
wow.
So.
2 stalwarts.
Okay. How about you, Manisha?
The Doors. I think spectacular. It's like Jim Morrison speaking to you alive. It's just so well done. From how he looks to how he talks to the music. It was hard to believe this is an actor. So for me, I think Doors was his best.
But was it just that or do you like him generally also?
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan of
not
Val
like
Kilmer. Okay.
didn't follow his work through and through.
Also, Manisha and Jayashree are not the Top Gun generation, no?
Hey, Top Gun
No,
was
Top
great.
Gun, of course. I love
Val
Top
Kilmer
Gun.
coming back in the latest Top Gun
Yeah.
was also very,
Yeah,
very
that was
emotional
very
and
Top
really
Gun,
sweet. So,
yeah, Val Kilmer was great in Top, but it's what
but
is
yeah,
it?
we
He's
are
ice, na?
youths, Manisha
Iceman.
and I.
Ice. But Tom Cruise is what you look at.
Yeah.
Top Gun is about Tom Cruise.
And Rajyasree?
I liked Heat. I liked The Ghost and the Darkness, which none of you are talking. I loved The Ghost and the Darkness. And The Island of Dr. Moreau, which he did with Marlon Brando, which was
haven't seen that.
excellent. That is
He
excellent.
didn't do any
Also-
Bengali film?
No.
I'm surprised.
Discography.
But I'm sure at some point he must have auditioned for a Bengali film which didn't work out, no?
He was cast in a Satyajit Ray film, which then didn't
Dude,
get made.
Satyajit had died before he was born, probably. I don't know.
Posthumously. But Val Kilmer was the youngest student at the Juilliard School. So I just find it fabulous when you see how many of these people who Val Kilmer, of course, acted in some great films which were like beyond action films and all, but so many of these people who you don't realize the kind of acting training that they've got, because to just get into Juilliard for drama is so difficult. And he was 17 years old. He was the youngest student they've ever had.
No, I think there's some stars.
He's also played Mark Twain. I want to watch that.
No, but there's some stars in Hollywood that their stardom kind of, you forget what good actors they are. One is Val Kilmer. I think he was underrated as an actor because he was a star. And the other is this guy who Gilbert
Robin
Grape,
Grape.
Titanic. What's his name?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
He is,
What's Eating Gilbert Grape was a great movie.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's such a
was
gifted
so
actor.
good.
He is but because he's such a big star, his acting is not often spoken about, I think.
No, I think Leonardo gets enough.
Yeah.
He does get enough credit.
So this one had said, Joaquin Phoenix has said no one takes it. When during one of his Oscar speeches, he said, like, it's a big deal for me that I've been nominated with like Leo and all of us have grown up together. But more than that, when we'd go for auditions, you thought you were a shoo-in and then you'd hear, oh, Leonardo's coming, Leonardo's coming. And you knew you weren't getting the role because everything went to this boy prodigy actor so he said there was this buzz when we were growing up. Leonardo was going to be there because he is such a gifted actor. But I think many of them were so good looking also. It sometimes takes away from
I don't
your
think that's
acting.
true with Leo though. I think
Because he looks quite gross in some
I think
of
that's maybe it was Salman Khan. Because of his good looks.
मैंने प्यार
no,
किया.
I'd say
Imagine.
Brad Pitt, for example. There's a lot
Yeah.
of focus on how good looking he is, so you're not gonna necessarily talk about what a good actor he is.
I think with Leonardo, they talk about what a good actor he is
Yeah.
a lot,
Yeah.
especially because
Just-
he didn't get an Oscar for a very long time.
Yeah.
So there was a lot
Also,
about
he's
like.
Same with
spectacular.
Tom Cruise.
Say that film but Tom Cruise, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
just,
he's that level, but in that 4th of July, he did such a fantastic job. But
I think the Scientology thing for me just colors anything Tom Cruise does. I'm like, dude, you're just so.
by the way, the new
Scientologist.
Mission Impossible trailer just dropped.
He's done 6 more. Like, he did that bike stunt 6 times. I think there's something a
But
little.
that was the old one, bikes.
That was
no,
the
no,
last
even
one.
in
In
this,
this one.
there's
But,
a.
no
so-
one noticed that I said it just dropped.
No, we also noticed that you got some information from Reels. Because you're so cool that, I saw a
I'm
lot
good.
of things.
But-
So, one thing I wanted to say, Christian Bale, this is my favorite anecdote of Christian Bale's. It's on a reel. So you will also see it at some point. Christian Bale was asked, how did you become the character in American Psycho? Because he's so... There's no remorse in him. There's nothing. It's such a cool film. That and Texas Chainsaw Murders are just 2 fabulous films. So he said, I saw Tom Cruise's interview, one of his interviews with David Letterman, where he's charming and laughing and all, but if you look at his eyes, he's dead behind his eyes. And I
you serious?
became Tom Cruise for American Psycho.
Wow.
And I was just thinking when Tom Cruise watches
Sees that.
this interview, he said there's nothing behind his
But he's
eyes.
so right. He's so
and
true.
it's true.
But my favorite Val Kilmer, I think was the best Batman because he brought together the physicality that Batman needs. Like George Clooney was not convincing as a Batman because he
He was just a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
trying
he
to
doesn't
play
he didn't have that
Batman.
physical you couldn't
Yeah.
imagine him beating up anyone.
Yeah.
And some of the other Batmen did not have the suave, Bruce Wayne. This guy brought both together. But to see him at the most amazing, watch Tombstone, where he plays Doc Holliday. I think Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday. Tombstone is, I think, the best Western ever. It's better than Good, Bad, Ugly. It's better than Fistful of Dollars. It's better than A Few Dollars More. It's better than Once Upon a Time in the West or whatever else it is.
In Hollywood.
Fantastic. It's a story of Wyatt Earp, which is, again, this legend. And there were 2-3 films that were released around the same time. But Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday is a performance that I think it's one of the all-time greatest performances by any actor ever.
Shall watch it. Tombstone.
So, on that note, let's just do one more email and then we'll get back to this show called The Studio. Lokesh says, just watched your podcast on adolescence. There is so much to explore about this incredible show. Apologies for the abrupt start. My name is Lokesh. I head programming for a radio station, Dubai. Lokesh, can we get a show on your radio station?
No, he's asked to come on our show.
Oh, sorry. And I present Tuesday evening show as well. I have been speaking about masculinity for years. And now adolescence hits home. So many compelling points in which our world of young boys and girls is headed. I would love to contribute to the discussion on one of your podcasts if possible. Happy to fly down to India for a conversation. Wow.
Oh my God.
I'm attaching 2 of my videos on adolescence I made. Please have a look. All right, Instagram. So, fine, Lokesh. Our producer, Priyali, has taken note of your email. Maybe we can do a joint discussion. But then you have to put us on your station also and appeal to the people who are watching in Dubai. Pay to keep news free because when the public pays, the public is served. Right. Oh, there's someone who started a letter saying, yo, Abhinandan, what's up, dog?
He's like you, he's cool.
How do you know it's a he? Sragvi.
Sragvi.
Girl.
It's a he.
Sragvi could be a girl also.
Just became a subscriber this month. What's up with you dissing Saif Ali Khan
a
because
girl.
he read Ayn Rand? Don't care about Saif. Don't care about Saif, but I feel that Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged are still amazing books and that her objectivism is worth knowing about. Would like to know what philosophers have you read that you're flexing this much? Or which philosophers you got influenced by most?
Beta?
Also, I'd love to see your interview. Also, I'd love to see you interview Prashant Kishore. What do you think about his Jan Swaraj movement and what he did with it? I have seen many people doubt his intentions, but at least he is talking about the right issue and making the right moves in party construction. At last, I'd really like to see when NL starts a program about efficient policies in various governments throughout India. We'll keep contributing more and more. Pay to keep news free. Shragvi, thank you so much. Appreciate your contribution and helping us stay alive and afloat and supporting our
Is
journalism.
that the reason why you don't like Saif Ali Khan? Because he reads Ayn Rand?
No, that's not... Dude, come on. That's one reason.
But
I've
you
never liked
don't
him.
have a
But
problem
it's
with
a good
that
it's a
one?
good reason to dislike him. I'll give you
What's
that.
your favorite Shalini? What's her name?
She's so very
Who?
smart and,
Shalini Hari.
and very grounded.
Which
The
person?
Bollywood Vibes woman.
Shalini Pasi.
Yeah,
How's
she's
she my
very-
favorite?
She's one of your favorites.
She's one of your favorites. She's
She said, I'm reading 50 rules of love,
down
40 rules of love. No,
Okay.
book reading cannot
Chops
be
way.
the judge of
I,
it.
Yeah.
No, but
she's-
we should all remember Shilpa Shetty, who in an interview
Yes,
to Chennai Times
I
long
loved
ago
it. Animal
said
Farm.
Animal Farm is one of her favorite books because it should be used to teach children about caring for animals.
Animals.
So
I
sweet.
loved it.
Chilpa.
It is the
Yes.
sweetest thing someone
So
has
sorry,
found.
I'm not doing a flex, honestly. In Saif's case, you have taken exception. I have actually spoken about Ayn Rand back in the early days of Hafta once. First of all, your Prashant Kishore discussion is a Hafta discussion and we'll have it then. I think his intentions and his outcomes are mixed. I don't think it's black and white. But when it comes to Ayn Rand, I've said most teenagers will be very moved by Ayn Rand, like I was. Not only did I think Ayn Rand was a genius and that Howard Rourke was this amazing character and Peter Keating was this jerk and we all wanted to be Howard Rourke. But the thing is, I was in class 10. And as you read more about Ayn Rand, her life, the Gilded Age, you kind of, it's like, when you're 12 and
You have to
13.
grow out of it.
When you're 12 and 13, you thought reservation was a bad idea because that's just what your, entitled, privileged existence kind of said you are always the victim. Like I started this show, I'm a man, I'm a victim because of 3 women with me. That's internalized. But I don't read any philosophers as such. I think Bertrand Russell's, when I used to read a lot of books, I thought they were interesting. I think Fitzgerald's commentary on the Gilded Age was amazing. But otherwise, I don't read philosophy. Now I, by and large, just read non-fiction political books or economics books. So I have zero value to add to this
I
discussion.
think Saif's interview to Times was a great read though. It was good fun too. He gave a long interview to Times on the theft that happened at his house. I think he dealt with it very well.
I also
Very
think he just
charming.
speaks well. He at least has a sense of humor. He's self-effacing.
He doesn't take himself too seriously.
He doesn't take, even if he does take himself seriously, he at least portrays that he doesn't. He most likely goes home and then looks in the mirror and says, I'm wonderful. But when he's talking to people and all, he says, I'm quite an
Yeah,
arse.
he's chill.
Yeah,
So,
I really
but-
think he's quite avoidable anyway. So, ladies.
He's nice. He's a good actor also.
I think he's a very good actor. And you should watch Ek Hasina Thi,
Dear
and-
God.
which is a very good film. And Omkara.
Okay.
What, okay? You don't think he was good in Omkara?
I think he was.
Fluke, you're saying.
Right, of course. So, what do you think of this show called The Studio? This is the one you recommended to me also, right, Manisha?
Yeah, so the show is quite simply about a studio in Los Angeles.
Okay.
It's a movie making, they make movies and it's sort of a satire on the industry. The plot is that Barbie is a huge hit. Okay, it's raked in a lot of money. So the studio thinks that they also need to find a product around which they can make a movie. To get the ads in, to get the marketing guys in, and to, ride on Barbie's success. So have a second. So they decide that they'll do a movie on this green blob of a figure who's supposed to be the mascot of Kool-Aid. And they go to Martin Scorsese and they're figuring out who can make this. And you have to see, like, maybe we can put a picture of Kool-Aid mascot.
Yeah.
Like you can't, it's not Barbie.
Hmm.
So the whole thing is this studio guy who's now in charge and he has to bring the money
Which
in.
is
he has
Seth
to make
Rogen.
Yeah,
Seth Rogen is in charge. Like, he's
So-
directed this.
Sounds
and
like
he
an
is-
interesting
So first
plot.
he goes to like the best directors we'll go to. So he goes to Martin Scorsese and says, you were going to make this Kool-Aid movie. And Scorsese says that, yeah, okay, I'll do a movie. I'm thinking of Kool-Aid. And he buys the film and that's supposed to be his last movie, and then they buy it to kill it. So there's a lot of like inside,
Because
the way the industry works kind of a thing.
And he has lots of people playing. So Seth Rogen basically is someone who loves cinema and he's very arty, but he now has to not be arty because he has to be the head of the studio. And it's like he has to come to terms with the fact that
It's all
he
about
has
the
to
money
make
at the end.
commercially viable films,
Right.
but they have cameos from Charlize Theron playing Charlize Theron, Martin Scorsese playing himself.
I love these kind of films, which are,
Yeah.
people playing themselves insider this thing.
And
That was
it's-
very cool about Get Shorty also. It was a nice commentary
Yeah.
about Bollywood, the Sunset Boulevard type life of LA.
So this has Ron Howard, which is that episode is really funny, which Ron Howard is making a film with Anthony Mackie. You've seen Anthony Mackie. He's one of the Marvel characters, also Marvel or whichever one, Avengers characters. And you know how to tell a director a
But you got a
fabulous
scene, like
Yeah.
which he's really emotional about. And everyone's figuring out how do we tell him that it's a shit scene. It has to go.
And-
No one's going to sit through it. No one's going to watch this movie.
It's
So
very
it's a lot
funny.
it's a fun satire on the movie industry.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that it's so funny. Like, I don't remember the last time I watched 3 episodes or something and just laughed so much. Like, see, it's also very clever. Like, I don't know if we're overselling it, but like, it's very clever. It shows like all these movies being sold. You're getting selling out to mega conglomerates, whatever. The rat race to make franchises like Lego and Pop Tart and Barbie and whatever. Is there a place for art anymore? Also, since we just watched Adolescence, one entire episode is on the shooting of a oneer. They want
Yeah.
to do a one. They want to do a one take
Yeah.
shot of with the golden light in the background, and then how does it play out? What
And
happens?
he keeps
It's just-
ruining it.
And
Yeah, and the great thing is that Seth Rogen comes into this because he thinks that yes, I'm going to be head of a studio. I'm going to make art great again, whatever. But then you're like, I can't. I need to also do all these other terrible things. And also, like, it's very bleak about it's on its perspective of movies in 2025. Like, it's very, very
Yeah.
cutting about it. And yet it is so hilariously done that
And it's
It's-
light. It's nice to watch something, which
Yeah.
is why I like White Lotus also. Every show otherwise is so deep and so depressing. And like by the end of it, you're just sad about your life, the state of the world, everything. So this also makes you feel sad about the state of cinema.
but in a
But
great way.
It's in a great way. And Catherine O'Hara is so good. Who's in Schitt's Creek also, right? The mother.
She's the marketing head.
She's
No, that's Catherine Hahn.
She's the one who's been sacked and
Oh, okay, okay,
he's
okay.
replaced her. And Catherine Hahn is so good
Catherine
as the
Hahn is
marketing
right.
head.
She's really fun.
It's just a very, very, and supposedly the cameos are better and better with each episode.
I love a good cameo.
Yeah.
I was
How
like,
do
I
you get
love
Martin
I loved Om
Scorsese to
Shanti
come
Om
and,
because
like,
it had so many
play
cameos.
yeah.
And
dear
cry,
God.
and
Great fun.
cry how much? Like
Yeah. Because they've killed his movie. That's
They
supposed to be his last movie. They've bought it and they just told him that we're never going to release it. We're
And
killing it.
Charlize Theron is sort of condoling him and saying what happened. It's just very funny because it also shows these directors to be, which they most probably are also, very sensitive people like Ron Howard also.
Which
So it's
which
good.
I also find a little strange because one would think you're creating something to hold up to other people's scrutiny.
Huh?
And you'd be, have trained yourself and circumstance would have trained you to be completely, I'm not saying be completely aloof or oblivious, but not to let either the criticism or this thing bother you so much. Like, for example, I was reading Rang De Basanti. I really like him as a director, although he's made Ram Om Prakash Mehra. His interview, and he spoke about after Delhi 6 how he went into depression
Yeah.
and he, I think, started drinking or something. He says, I was in a really dark place. Like, I find it fascinating how, the failure of one film
Can
completely,
color.
their lives just go off track.
Because I guess
Not
you give
Ram,
so much
Rakesh Om Prakash
of your
Mehra.
life and so much of your time to something. It's like a baby, That's the cliche that this
Yeah,
is my
it's like
baby.
a baby. I know, but I forget who, but
So-
there was this one actor who had said that once I make something that's out there, then it's out there. I mean, then I have...
So
It
many
was a
of
But I
them.
feel
Bollywood-
very few people are able to make
it was a
that kind of
Bollywood guy who said
dispassionate-
that, and I was so impressed.
But actors can still do it. I think direction is, even storytelling. and
You've
script writing.
created that entire
It's your
thing.
world.
Yeah?
You've created a world.
Yeah.
So a lot
and then
of-
someone is coming and telling you your daughter looks like shit or something. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God. So it's, I feel that personal association.
No,
for
this
that
is
project
exactly
hard.
what Vidhu Vinod Chopra said to me when he lashed out at me back when I was interviewing him. But anyway, I've already narrated this incident a long time ago on Awful and Awesome.
But it's good fun. It's good fun.
It's it's on Apple TV. So watch it. And the other recommendation. So we had recommendations this time. Manisha had a recommendation.
Yeah, but we have 3 emails. Let's finish
Okay.
those. Chaitanya says, you guys should watch Pantheon. It's a hidden gem. It's animated, has 2 seasons. It's on Netflix. It's a rare and thought-provoking show. When you're finished with it, go to its subreddit and there you will find small but the most decent fandom you will ever see. What I like is we have such interesting
Pantheon, definitely
recommendations from our subscribers. Chaitanya says Pantheon on Netflix. Then Neha Singh says, didn't know how to classify this request. So I just put it here. Abhinandan, you once mentioned maybe 4 years ago on Amit Verma's show that you were going to make a film in 3-4 years. Well, time's up. And honestly, I think you owe us that film. From everything I've heard you say across shows, interviews and podcasts, I suspect it'll be something Sorkin-esque.
He doesn't know who Sorkin is, darling Neha. Who's it?
Aaron Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin.
Who's that?
Who's made some of the best. I just thought I should tell Neha that he doesn't know.
Darling Neha.
Who's it?
You innocent.
West Wing.
It's
He made
sweet.
the Achha,
It's sweet in a way. You're
okay.
innocent.
Full of wit,
Untouched.
idealism, layered characters and unapologetic belief in trying to do better. I watched The West Wing, The Newsroom, Sports Night and Studio 60 more times than I care to admit. And what keeps me coming back is how they managed to inspire without being naive. We could all really use something like that, and maybe you could pull it off without slipping into the cynical or the saccharine. So please write it, make it. Well, Neha, I've already written all these films, and I'll just show you a clip of all the scripts that have been lying in my shelf for the last 20 years. For the dust fly, they are registered. Five. Let's see when we make them. And then Pavitra says, hi Rajyasree and Abhinandan, long time listener, devoted subscriber, unofficial fan club president here. Thank you, Pavitra. Pavitra with a TH, so I'm sure this Pavitra is also from the south.
Alright.
Last week's podcast on Women's Day ads, absolute gold. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my chai. Special mention to Abhinandan's poetic masterpiece. It truly deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame of unintentional comedy. Thank you, Pavitra with the TH. Now, Abhinandan, my dear skeptic in chief, can we not dismiss the single take shot in adolescence before even watching? Give innovation and exploration a chance. Who knows, you might actually like it, or at least find new materials to roast. Love the banter as always, and long-time subscriber, loyal subscriber. Thank you. I continue to enjoy your podcast. Very nice. But yeah, okay, I'll probably watch Adolescence. Yeah, there's so much about it. Dude, they're like stories on BBC on
But now there's
Adolescence.
too much. You're not going to enjoy it.
You're
now.
not going
Too
to
much,
discuss.
yeah.
It's been discussed.
You know, there's
today.
this whole discussion. Is it in Netherlands?
This is one thing.
It's in some European country where adolescence was discussed by a minister in a meeting. And oh yeah, they're planning to make policy around what children can be allowed to watch on social media. And this discussion was triggered because of adolescence.
I think even in the UK, they discussed it in Parliament, you know.
Did you see in the newspaper today, at least in Delhi and Gurgaon, it was there, Instateen. Instagram has come up with this thing which is going to... So it's for teenagers, and they said parents can monitor what they... So I just love Instagram, that it's like, let's cash in on this and
Start
just
Instateen.
tell teenagers to get on it instead of telling them to get off it now. So it's fabulous.
But I think so much has been said about it that
Yeah.
you may not enjoy it now.
I think if you had a child, you should watch it. Otherwise, I would say you don't need to know.
Right. So, what recommendations did you have, Rajyasree Sen?
I think everyone should watch. If you can handle a little bit of gore and you like medical dramas, then watch The Pit, which is on Hotstar. It is really, really good. And it's perfect for binge watching because it's every hour of a day in an ER, like an emergency wing of a hospital. It's the same team of ER has made this, and Noah Wiley is in it. It is just so good. And the reason it works, like it's been now, again, I think it's been discussed to death a little bit about how it accurately portrays what doctors and all go through. So they asked Noah Wiley, why do you think it's such a hit? He said, because we took the music out of it. So when you're in an ER, you don't have everything you're doing doesn't have a theme song to it. And two, we don't show the doctors go off and making out with the nurse in the closet, then come back and he's operated. So he said it's a little real. Like what doctors aren't really making out with the nurse in between an operation.
While the patient is lying there waiting.
Depends on the country.
Depends on the doctor also, but
Or the nurse.
or the nurse.
But speaking of doctors, there was a case yesterday where this doctor was it in Madhya Pradesh, where he was not a doctor, he was performing surgeries, and half the people were dying.
There were so many.
And this guy was a huge influencer. People on TV would quote his tweets when he's praising Yogi Adityanath and all. He's a big scamster. Very, very
And Zubair
strange
did
story.
that thread on him 2 years ago, no?
Yeah.
Saying that he's a scam.
Yeah.
And now they've come. Your recommendation?
So my recommendation is Jubilee. It came out 2 years ago and I think they were marking its anniversary or something. This Vikramaditya Motwani's film series. Gorgeous. I think it just didn't get its due when it got released because it was COVID and I think maybe there wasn't much attention paid to it, but it's got amazing music, great acting. It's poetry on screen and I think Vikram is really capable of doing that, like with Lutera. I think it's just a beautiful movie and Jubilee is like that. And I really liked how they portray one of the very few movies that got that partition refugee angle bang on. So there's a refugee settlement and people from Sindh have come and they've now building their lives in Delhi from scratch. So they've captured that very beautifully, the pain and what they really went through, losing everything and then trying to start again. But it's basically about Bollywood. It's about movies. I think it's one of the bestest series to have come out of Bollywood. And very unfortunate it didn't get a second season. You have no heart.
It was very
You have no
stylish.
heart.
That I don't.
And
And the music was spectacular. I thought it was just
Jayashree, you have any recommendation?
transports you.
I watched a fantastic movie yesterday called Rekha Chitram. It's a Malayalam crime movie. So basically a skeleton is found and they're like, okay, this person died maybe 50 years ago, but who was she and how do we find out who it belonged to? But what it really cleverly does is that it sets it in the film. So the shooting of a very popular Malayalam movie from the 80s, they brought that into the plot. So they're saying that girl worked on that film set. And so they're using actual footage from that movie. They're using song sequences and they're sort of splicing images into it to sort of plot the mystery into that film. So it's a real film that did take place, but I'm explaining this really badly, but what you need to know, it is a fantastically plotted police procedural. It's a crime drama and it's set on an 80s film set in Kerala cinema and it's very well done.
What's it called?
I was
again?
shocked by it. It's called Rekha Chitram. I think it is on Sony
Live.
Sony Live.
Sony Live.
Rekha Chitram.
Right. I will not be so cheeky as to not have watched anything and then recommend things to our subscribers. So I will only recommend you subscribe and pay to keep news free. Here is a QR code. Support our journalism, support our journalists. There's a lot of work we have to do this year. And I hope you are along for the ride. And we will continue to do what we do. We just need you to support us so that we don't take ads from, for example, I found it shocking. NDTV's Insta feed, which should be giving news, had a message from Salman Khan about Sikandar, some film of his just
मैं दिल
released.
में आता हूँ दिमाग में नहीं आता.
I love this line.
Maybe something like
It's
that.
such a good
But
line.
it's poetry.
Yeah.
कितना अच्छा line
And
है.
he's an artist. He paints.
So NDTV was the media partner for this Sikandar. And therefore their Insta was, which should be investigating many, things about Bollywood and even about the media partners. So we don't have to do things like that and have someone like Salman Khan endorse us. We don't have to fall that low. This QR code will ensure we don't, so that neither do we, resort to less than adequate stars or billionaires or governments to fund us. So support News Laundry's journalism, pay to keep news free. We'd like to thank our wonderful panelists, co-hosts, not panelists, Jayashree, Rajyasree and Manisha, our wonderful sound recordist Anil, our wonderful producer Priyali, and thank you all. See you next week. Thank you, Ms. Sen.
Thank you, Mr. Sekhri.
Thank you, Miss Arunachalam.
Thank you, Miss Pande.
And it's a wrap.